So let's agree on excess sugar does damage the brain. Eating too many carbs turns into glucose and travels in the blood. Now, that statement right there is what's all over the internet, right? But they don't give you the backup behind it like I'm going to do, because that is not really how it works. Your body has regulatory systems for sugar. Something else goes wrong, and quite honestly, it doesn't have to do with sugar. Extra glucose caramelizes into glycation end products, and this contributes to neurodegenerative condition like Alzheimer's. So let's agree on excess sugar does damage the brain. Eating too many carbs turns into glucose and travels in the blood. Now, that statement right there is what's all over the internet. First of all, let me just make a clear point here. Just like with sugar, this excess fat is called lipid toxicity, fat toxicity. It causes diabetes, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, obesity, vascular inflammation, and dementia. So these high-fat diets create oxidative stress, just like the high sugar. They're not referring to ceramides. They're just, and a lot of studies, by the way, you have to read several studies to kind of get the whole idea of the biochemistry. In this particular study, they're just saying a high fat consumption causes an overproduction of circulating fatty acids, and this promotes oxidative stress, increases diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and dementia. So bottom line, we have a lot of these excess fats, too much dietary fat, too much body fat, you get lipid toxicity, they begin to accumulate in places they shouldn't, they differentiate into a type of fat called a ceramide, and these ceramide fats travel in the blood. And they can affect heart tissue, pancreas, they can affect the beta cells, they can contribute to adult onset type 1 diabetes, kidney disease, and here you go, ceramides damage brain cells. Now, type 3 diabetes, if you actually Googled type 3 diabetes, what you're going to find is Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is all over the internet when you put in your browser type 3 diabetes. Because when you have type 2 diabetes and these insulin receptor sites are all clogged and it happens in the brain, these same ceramides do the same job. So now you have a problem with ceramides from too much fat, and you have a problem that you can't metabolize sugar like you're supposed to. So now you have a problem with sugar and you have a problem with fat. So what the whole idea is, how do we eat to reverse all of this? The key is, and let me just bring some more studies so I can show this excess lipid accumulation in muscles associated with insulin resistance. I always think it's good to show you the studies because a lot of people really, they harp on that. They want to see the science. They want to see the evidence. A lot of times people will pull studies and they just select certain studies and they don't give you the chemistry. I want to be able to provide both. But right here in this study, the top line, it states, in skeletal muscle and liver, lipid, which is fat, accumulation has been associated with the development of insulin resistance, an early hallmark of developing type 2 diabetes. And they talk about in this study how this lipid toxicity then contributes to heart issues, kidney issues, brain issues, and it's primarily from a lot of these toxic players, which are these ceramide fats. And we typically see high levels of ceramide fats in the liver, fat cells, and muscle cells. And they're associated in this study. They talk about it being associated with cancer, inflammation, autoimmune, neurological, cardiovascular diseases. So this is not kidding around here, folks. When you're looking at doing your diet, you have to really know how to balance it. I'm going to do one more thing about fat because I have to throw this in there, that a high-fat diet does affect the gut, which ultimately can affect the brain. It increases bad bacteria, decreases these healthy chemicals called short-chain fatty acids that travel to other areas of the body, help in promoting your immunity, help in making other cells function better. That's what these short-chain fatty acids do. And you make them in the gut. And when you have a high-fat diet, it contributes to a promotion of bad bacteria. You get an imbalance. And these bad bacteria, studies show, produce neurotoxic compounds that can disrupt the gut-brain communication pathways. And this can also be a culprit for dementia. It also has been associated with mood disorders, a craving for more sugars. The key is we want to get the balance of fat and sugar.